Are you curious what's inside the Sonlight Level D Intro to American History package? Sonlight updated their Level D Intro to American History resources with a lot of new readers this year. And so I'm so excited to share what's inside the updated package for 2022. This is the 4-day package for Level D Intro to American History, and it also includes Bible resources. So I want to start with the Bible resources first. We received this Discoverer's Bible, which I think is going to be a really fun way to learn our Bible verses while also connecting it to our history lessons. This is the new International Readers version, which I love because this version is designed for kids at a 3rd grade reading level. And I also like the fact that the text is pretty big for a Bible. So it's going to be relatively easy for my son to read this on his own, and he's going to be able to enjoy those lessons. And then there's all sorts of illustrations that are included inside the Bible as a part of the text as well. So those will help him be able to connect to the stories even a little bit more. We also received this American Indian Prayer Guide, which is going to be a fun way to be able to connect our faith back to some of the Native American tribes. And it talks about the different tribes, and then it gives specific prayers that we can pray that go along with the different tribes as well. And then we also received this CD, which is Great in Counsel and Mighty in Deed. And these are songs to be able to sing the word. So I'm really excited about that as well. The songs are all based on specific Bible verses. As we get into the readers, I wanted to show you the instructor guide that's included as well. Every Sonlight package comes with an instructor guide, and these are so helpful when it comes time to plan lessons and figure out what we're doing each day. Everything is broken down and explained in here. It explains exactly what resources and how to use them. And then it also includes a week-by-week guide that shows you exactly what to do on each day. It shows you which resources you'll need and which pages you'll be reading, and gives you a little bit more information about what you'll be studying at a glance. And then each day is broken down with specific directions of what to do, questions to ask, and activities to complete. So this is super easy to follow and a great resource for homeschool parents. We also received some history text that I'm really excited about. Our main book is going to be this one, The Landmark History of the American People. And this is the volume 1, From Plymouth to the West. And this is set up like a textbook, but it does have lots of really beautiful pictures that show exactly what's happening. And so this book is going to be the spine that will help us be able to make connections between the different books that we're reading this year. We also received 2 books from the True Book series. One is the Constitution of the United States, and the other one is the Bill of Rights. And these books are just great introductions to the different historic documents. Again, lots of beautiful color pictures in these books, and just explanations about how those documents came to be. And this will be a great read aloud or reading book during our study of that period in history. We also received the Beginner's American History from Christopher Columbus to John Sutter. And this is going to be another great book for us as we're studying early history. This one goes pretty in depth about different people in history. It was organized by people, and it includes all different people: Christopher Columbus, Captain John Smith, King Philip, George Washington, Daniel Boone, Eli Whitney, and goes through and talks about different events in their lives and their impact in American history as well. And then we received this beautiful book. This is the Smithsonian American History Visual Encyclopedia. And I think this is going to be great for my son, who really likes to look at the pictures as well, because it goes through just different times in history and includes lots of photographs and lots of really specific information about the different events. So I think it will be helpful as we're studying different events in history to be able to look in this book and to be able to see the supplemental information that's provided. There's a timeline down here that tells us events that happen in the industrial age, and then photographs of different artifacts and things that will help us to be able to make connections from those readers as well. And then in terms of application, we received this book. So this book is the timeline book, and it's just a blank timeline starting from 5000 BC to the present. And so each page has space to attach timeline figures as we complete our study of history. And I like the fact that the pages in this book are very thick. They're made out of a thick cardstock. And so it's going to be easy to attach timeline figures and to be able to use this book year after year to help us connect our studies of history together. We also received these timeline figures for Intro to American History. And these are really cool because they're printed on sticker paper. So all we'll need to do is find the figure that we want and stick it directly in the timeline. We won't need to get out any messy glue sticks or anything to make this happen. We also received this really large map. It's folded here, so you can't see the whole thing, but it is really very large. So this will hang up on a wall. We've got the United States on one side, and then the countries of the world on the other. And this came as well with a set of wet erase markers. So we'll be able to find different events in United States history and world history, and we'll be able to mark the map as we study throughout the course of the year and include that information on the map as well. My favorite part of the Sonlight Level D Intro to American History program is that it includes a lot of books to read out loud and a lot of books for kids to read independently. I think this is such a fun way for kids to study history because they're able to connect to the characters on a more personal level, and it's going to help them to be able to remember what they're learning a little bit better because they're having that personal connection to the story and to the time period. So there's a huge stack of read aloud books that are included with the curriculum, and many of these are new and updated for 2022. So I want to share the books that we received. Some of them are classic books. We got The Sign of the Beaver, as well as The Witch of Blackbird Pond and Johnny Tremaine. So I'm excited to be able to share some of these classic books with my son. And then we also received some a little bit more unique ones that I hadn't heard of before. So Tolliver's Secret, Carry On, Mr. Bowditch, and Justin Morgan Had a Horse. So this one is a Newbery Honor book and one that I've never heard of. So I'm really excited to be able to share all of these with him. And then we have Walk the World's Rim, The Story of the Amistad, Peacemaker, Alamo All-Stars. This one looks really interesting, Hazardous Tales. This one is actually a comic book all about the Alamo. So I think my son is going to really like this different format of this one. And it just looks like a lot of fun to be able to read this together. And then we also have Christian Heroes Then and Now, Adoniram Judson. And I'm excited to be able to share this perspective with him and to be able to present American history with a biblical worldview and talk about some of these lesser known people, but important people in our faith. We also received The White House is Burning, which I think is going to be a really interesting resource as well. This one has lots of color illustrations as well to make it more interesting for kids. And then our final read aloud that we received was A Child's Introduction to Poetry. And I think this one is going to be really a lot of fun because it comes with a CD. So we'll be able to listen to these poems read aloud because the read aloud is such an important part of poetry. And I think that we're going to really enjoy doing that together. We also received quite a few readers that we'll be able to enjoy throughout the school year from the Sonlight Level D Intro to American History package. And this is one of the big changes that they made this year. They combined it so that there is one level of readers that actually will work for all kids. So I'm very excited to explore these with my son. It's also important to note that these are the same readers that they use for the language arts level D. So kids will be able to read the book and then make connections both to their history studies and to their language arts studies. So I think that that's really cool and a great way just to be able to build understanding and cross-curricular connections for kids. So we got The Secret of the Sealed Room, a mystery of young Benjamin Franklin. My son loves mysteries right now, so I think he's going to really enjoy reading this one. We also got the Lewis and Clark Expedition, which is from the Landmark History series. And this one has lots of illustrations and, again, good information about the expedition. We also got Phoebe the Spy. I like that there's a wide variety of different reading levels. We have some thicker chapter books and some a little bit smaller books. So it'll be a good variety for us as we're going through our school year. We also got Sarah Plain and Tall. My son has read this one and really enjoyed it. So I love that there's, again, a good mix of classic books and some more unique titles. The Cabin Faced West. We have Squanto, Friend of the Pilgrims. It's going to be fun to read all of these different perspectives of early American history and to really get the full story of exactly what happened from all these different perspectives. We have Sarah Witcher's story and the Skip Pack School, talking about schools in early American history. I think this one's going to be really interesting. Again, just beautiful illustrations in many of these books that are going to help kids be able to understand the story that they're reading as they're reading it. We have the Thanksgiving story. This one is a really pretty book with lots of illustrations again. Oncasto. So this is going to be an interesting one as well. And this one is actually autographed by the author, which is really cool to see that when that came. We have The Blood on the River. And then Timmy O'Dowd and the Big Ditch. This one's a story of the glory days on the Erie Canal. And so this one, again, is another one of the shorter ones. And it's nice that there's sort of a wide variety of some bigger books and some shorter books to give a lot of variety there for kids. Fever, 1793. This one's going to be interesting and timely, I think, talking about an epidemic and just going into detail on that period of history. And then we have Jericho's Journey, Nyanuki, again, another autographed book, and then The Corn Grows Ripe. So a big selection of different readers, different ability levels. I think that's going to be great for finding books that are a good fit for my son. And it's going to be nice to be able to use those not only for history, but also for language arts. So that's what's included in the Sonlight Level D Intro to American History. I'll be doing another video in just a few weeks where I'll be talking about how we're using these resources and going into a little bit more depth of a review. So if you're interested in that, please make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss that one when it comes out as well. And I will share links in the description of this video where you can learn more about the Sonlight Level D Intro to American History program. You can see specifically the readers that are new for 2022 and where you can get the Sonlight Level D Intro to American History package for yourself.